But when we first got here, it was like, oh, this place is beautiful. We didn't expect South Australia to be this beautiful. But the school is really good. The schools are really good. And like you find everyone's nice. So like you can make friends wherever. It just feels like home more. It feels more like South Africa. It feels like home away from home. And the beaches are beautiful here. We love the beach.
The scenery is stunning.
Yeah. And also, like, it's just nice to see the Aborigines as well, because this is like their country, and
it's also very diverse as well.
Yeah, it's diverse. That's it.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I love it.
There's a whole cultural mix here.
I'm Dr. Chamonix Blanche, ex-corporate and academical, turned CEO and board member of several companies, and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created Chamonix TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids here in Down Under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Claire and Alex. Thanks so much for joining us today, all the way from Adelaide. How have you guys been?
Thank you. Hi, nice to be here. We've been well. Thank you, Chamonix. Yeah.
That's good. And Alex, how are you? Are you at school still? How old are you?
I'm 18. I finished school. I'm just having a gap year at the moment. Yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying myself. It's lovely here.
Exciting. So this is going to be your first gap year. So you finished school last year or the year before?
I finished school in New Zealand. Yeah. So it's like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, she can't study yet here because we're not residents, and it's going to be too expensive for me. Yeah, so she's just having a bit of a gap.
Oh, nice. I wish I could have a bit of a gap. I'll come and fly over and join you for a gap year. Oh, ladies, it's lovely to chat to you. So tell us, what's your story? When did you come to Australia? You mentioned New Zealand just now. So what happened there?
Okay, so we came to Australia on the 1st of March last year, so just before the whole COVID lockdown thing. So we got here 2 weeks before the lockdown. We got here, I'm telling you, it was a blessing from God, because it would have been so hard to come after, because our visa was approved. Our 489 visa was approved, obviously, while we were in New Zealand in about October the year before. And we were going to wait a little bit, and I was going to save more money, but something told me, no, just do it, just go. And we just, I think we took about 5 months, and that was it. We came in March, and we're so glad we did. We're so glad we rushed and did it when we did. Yeah.
So it's only the 2 of you that came over?
Yes, just the 2 of us. Unfortunately, my daughter of 20, she left us when we were in New Zealand. She got a little bit depressed and she went back to South Africa. But I do have 2 older kids, and the one lives in New Zealand and the other one, he's gone to Germany. He's 20.
Wow.
The other one's 25, yeah.
Wow. So, okay, so you've got 4 fledglings and only one still left with you.
Yeah.
So, Alex, are you going to hang around, or are you going to also spread your wings and fly? What do you think?
I'm going to hang around for a little bit longer, and then I'll go.
I'm just hang on to her for dear life. I don't want to.
Yes. Shackles. Okay, so New Zealand. How long were you in New Zealand for?
So we were there. We arrived as well in March, 10th of March, 2014. We immigrated there. And so it was like 6 years. Yeah.
Okay, so 6 years in New Zealand and then Australia. So why did you decide to make the switch from New Zealand to Australia?
Good question. Well, we had some family in New Zealand, and it was the CAP course for me for the nursing was cheaper in New Zealand. And I thought, okay, well, it's close to Australia. We've got family there, so it'll be much easier to settle.
Yeah, it's like the right option at the time, considering family.
Yeah.
And everyone had spoken so highly of New Zealand. We were like so excited for New Zealand.
I mean, it's a beautiful country. You know, it really is beautiful.
Yeah.
So then why Australia?
Ultimately, when we came to a holiday in Australia, I mean, I'd always wanted to live in Australia. That would have been the first prize for me. You know, years ago, I've been telling my friends, oh, I want to come to Australia. But I always thought it was like unattainable. I just felt it was unattainable. And we went to a seminar, and they weren't really accepting enrolled nurses for Australia. And then they weren't accepting for New Zealand. And then my aunt one day, she said to me, hey, they're accepting for New Zealand. You should go for it. And that's when I decided, okay, go. And also I'd heard the CAP course was way more expensive in Australia. And I just thought it just felt easier coming to New Zealand because I had family there. So we just did it like that. Yeah. And then we did fall in love with New Zealand. We really did. But the weather is more suitable here than it was in New Zealand for us. It's more like home.
Yeah.
The weather
easier to adjust for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So where in New Zealand were you? North or South Island?
North Island, which is a little town called New Plymouth, which is very beautiful. It's got a mountain and it's got the coast. We were very blessed there, and I've got an aunt there. But in the beginning, we were in Auckland and Half Moon Bay. We stayed 6 long weeks with my one uncle while I did the CAP course for nursing. Yeah. So that was a little bit, because it was a whole new country, and I had to do a course and I had to buy a car. All in the space of 3 days, I had to start a new course and learn how to drive in this Auckland.
Wow. Wow. And you and your 2 daughters at that stage, or did you have your other children with you?
Just my 2 daughters at that stage. And I think they were, how old were you?
I was 10 and Hannah was 11.
Yeah.
10 and 11. And the other 2 had already left school at that stage?
They were still at school in South Africa. They had to finish off there. And then the plan was to come over once they finished.
But they were in their last year of school anyway.
Yeah, last year or 2, because Johnny's 2 years younger than Jessie. So yeah, they were just finishing off school. Yeah.
So did they then end up finishing there and immediately leave or come to New Zealand or go somewhere else?
Came straight to New Zealand, and then they stayed, and then they got permanent residency there. We all had permanent residency in New Zealand. So at least I gave them that. And then my son Jonathan went off to do a skiing instructor's course in Canada and met some lovely girl, and now he's living in Germany with her.
How awesome.
Yeah, and my daughter Jessica, she's 25, she's living with her partner in Wellington. She's just finished university and they just bought a house, and she's having a lovely life there. Wellington is beautiful.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yes. Okay. So you've got one child left who's gone back to South Africa. What's her plan? Do you know? Is she studying there or considering coming back to or trying out Australia?
She's a little bit lost at the moment, but she did a yoga instructor's course. She's in Cape Town with her dad, and she is considering coming over to visit us. And we're going to try and get her here on a student visa if we can, when all this COVID nonsense goes away.
It's been so tricky. COVID's just thrown so many spanners in the works, eh?
It's just a nightmare. I couldn't believe it. Our arrival here, and that happened. But when we first got here, it was like, oh, this place is beautiful. We didn't expect South Australia to be this beautiful, honestly.
Gosh, yeah.
We wanted to go like New South Wales, Queensland, Sunshine Coast, because we had been there on holiday from New Zealand. We had gone to the Gold Coast and we thought, oh, this is where we want to be. But Adelaide is just like the Gold
Beautiful.
Coast. It's so beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is gorgeous. The blue waters that you get there.
Oh, yeah.
Adelaide, in a way, the beach there for me is very similar to what we have here in WA. It's sort of flat waters for a lot of it, but then you get the blue waters. I know, robe and
waves. It's very protected. No waves.
So beautiful. And that's the kind of sea I like, the sea where you can just lie on a lie low on the water.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just like, there's dolphins here too.
Yes, we went for a walk at the beach the other day and we just saw a dolphin in the water. It was beautiful.
Yeah, just like the 5 minutes that we got there, and then this dolphin was in the water. It was like, what? We don't see that in Durban, you know? Yeah. Starfish right here. Starfish.
Oh, gorgeous. So what made you choose Adelaide?
So I was with an agent, and my age is against me. And I was going to be turning 45, and at the time, I think I was 44 when I applied for the 489. My points were quite low, and I wanted to try for New South Wales, and my agent said it's going to take long. South Australia is good. They're quite quick. And I was, as I said, I was adamant. I didn't really want to go, but at that stage, I didn't really, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I mean, and I said, okay, fine, please put me for South Australia. Paid him all the money, did all my forms, did my English test 4 times. So low because of my age that I had to get superior points in all of it. Yeah. So, and I had just hit the 5-year work experience that I could prove, because they only use like they take the last 10 years worth of your work experience, and every year gives you a certain amount of points. So I made it by the skin of my teeth. And, you know, I got an invitation for the visa 17 days before I turned 45. So it was like a godsend.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I'm sure you could not believe your eyes or your ears, whichever way you received that invitation.
Absolutely jumping through the roof with this invitation. And then you won't believe it, like, honestly, not even a week before I turned the next birthday, I actually got the visa. So it took about a year.
Wow. Okay, so it's been a year and just about basically a year that you've been here in Australia, in Adelaide. I'm assuming you started working amidst COVID.
Yeah, for the first 2 months, I didn't have a job because nurses here, they mainly take casual staff to start off with. They start you on a trial. I don't know if it's like that in Western Australia, but it's not like that in New Zealand. You can just walk into a job as a nurse. Yeah, they want you on a casual basis, and then they try you out, and it's like, okay, after a few months, we might take you for permanent, but that's okay because you get paid very well casual, and they call you a lot, you know, so there's no shortage of shifts. So, but there's no regularity in shifts either. So what was the question again?
Yeah, so you started working, and so you mentioned that you had to start as a casual. I'm assuming you did then start as a casual. Is that still the case, or have you been able to find a full-time job, or or a permanent job? Do you want one? Sometimes people enjoy the casual shifts.
I'm enjoying the casuals. I'm working in aged care in a Serbian-run rest home, so everyone speaks Serbian. So it was like, whoop! That culture shock and then that culture shock, but it was okay because like they're all migrants too, you know, so we have that in common. And a lot of the old people have been through the war and hard times and that, and so yeah, I'm on a casual basis and I'm enjoying it because I get more money and I can say no to shifts, and I can, you know, because I also did this whole thing where I didn't have a job for the first 2 months. I did a CMAX trial, which is a good way to make quick money. You do medical trials.
Oh, yeah.
Big centre here in Adelaide, and it's very safe and everything. So my daughter lent me money, the one that's in New Zealand, for the first 2 months. And then I was able to pay her back very quickly with doing the CMAX trial. And then after just a very short while, I got loads of shifts at my aged care. And so now I'm like a regular. So it's like being permanent, but you get more money.
How good is that? Well, as you said, because there are so many shifts, you might as well stay casual and enjoy it that way.
Yeah. Like the only downside is that you don't get that leave build up, but that's okay for now, you know. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
But you can always take leave still. It's usually then you just say, I'm not available for the shift.
That's
So
right.
tell me about the settling in. I know it's been tricky because it's been COVID, but how was work in the first few weeks that you were there?
Yeah, so no work in the first 2 weeks, the 2 months at all. And then
but the culture at the workplace is what I mean. So yeah, how was settling in there?
Culture was all right, hey. When we were in New Zealand, the culture was a bit strange, but that was my first year, but then it was wonderful. And what would you say about, like new migrants, we do have that issue sometimes.
I feel like because New Zealand was the first place that we moved to that wasn't South Africa, that was like the big culture shock. But if we had moved to Australia first, then it would have been more of a shock, but we were able to like adapt pretty quickly, considering we've been used to like a different culture for so long.
Yeah, and because I've worked in New Zealand, the work is very similar. That it's very much the same. And nursing is nursing, and you just get into it. It's very adaptable. The only thing was the medication names are different. You have to adapt to, and the forms are a little bit different when you're nursing. There's still that hierarchy, you have to answer to your higher rank. It's still the same. Yeah.
So what did you do in South Africa before you came? Because you said enrolled nurse, which means that you haven't completed your enrolled nurse period, which I don't know how long is that for, 2 years usually before you become registered?
Enrolled nurse is a registered nurse. It's just that we're just under the management. The RN is the sort of one who runs the show. The enrolled nurse is the nurse on the floor, plus she gives out the medicine. She's a qualified nurse. I just, enrolled nursing is just like an RN. I mean, when I came, it's just that they've got a little bit more responsibility. When I came to New Zealand, I did exactly the same cap as all the RNs. So the course was $9,800. And
wow.
6-week cap course. And that's what you will have to do when you come to Australia as well, as a cap course from South Africa. And you do that, it takes about 6 weeks, and they just sort of zone you into how they do things in their country and the forms, and they put you with a preceptor. You generally go on clinicals into aged cares. And it's very much like, just, hey, here, we're giving you your feet, we're showing you the way. So enrolled nurse, literally, I was the only enrolled nurse in that whole CAP course, and I did exactly the same as the RNs. It's just that the RN has got more of a managerial role.
Okay, all right, okay. So you were a nurse in South Africa as well all the time?
I was doing the same thing there, but I also did 7 years of medical sales, medical rep sales. So that's basically what I had been doing mostly before I decided to come to immigrate. And then my agent said, oh, when last did you do nursing? If you want to come over as a nurse. And I said, oh, it's been years. So he said, no, you have to have at least 500 hours of recent experience. So I had to just throw in the towel with medical sales and go straight back in. And I had to I did agency work. I was sent here, there, everywhere, surgical, medical, psych. I was sent all over, and I just did as many hours as I could at different hospitals. And I worked on getting my hours, and then I could qualify to be registered as a nurse in New Zealand.
So how long did it take, that process for you? I know it's New Zealand, which is a little bit different to Australia, but in many aspects, it's quite the same. Yeah. From the time that you decided you were going to leave South Africa until you basically put your feet into New Zealand?
It was about 4 years, I would say. I was telling my friends, like, literally for a full 4 years, I was like, oh, I want to go to Australia, but I didn't do anything about it. And then I would say, full on, when I got the memo from the agent and when I started doing my hours and everything, I would say maybe it was just about 3 years from then. So because I had to get my IELTS test, I had to get all that.
Oh yeah.
Medical, I had to get enough hours, and the hours took a good 6 months to get. And the paperwork, yeah, it took a while, and saving up money and all that.
So Alex, how did you find the move from South Africa to New Zealand first? Were you concerned that you were not going to make friends, or that you, like, what did you think when Mum told you, oh, guess what, we're going to New Zealand?
I was really excited. And I was excited when I got there as well, but there are its challenges that I wasn't fully aware of until like I had to face them. It was a culture shock for sure. At school, it was a little bit more difficult to make friends because you're a bit different. But the school is really good. The schools are really good. And like you find everyone's nice. So like you can make friends wherever, but it was a little bit challenging. Yeah.
So did you go from public to public or private to of which, like, how did it work with the school?
It was like public and private, but I don't know what
the schools are really good there. So it was a semi-private school that she went to. She went to a Catholic girls' school.
Most of the schools, because in South Africa, I feel like they're more, what's the word? Co-ed.
Yeah.
And then I went from a co-ed school to like an all-girls school, which is also really weird as well.
Yeah.
So in South Africa, you were in a public school?
Yes, public, and then I went to a private, semi-private, all-girls school.
Yeah, Catholic. Which town in South Africa did you move from?
Durban. Durban, yeah.
Okay, I say town. City.
Yeah. Durban, Westville, Hillcrest Cliff, all over.
So, Alex, after you spent about a year or so in New Zealand, did you feel like that was more becoming the place that you'd like to be? Or how long did you think you wanted to still go back to South Africa for? Or do you still want to be back in South Africa? Or what does your heart tell you?
For the first year, like for the first 3 months, I was enjoying it. And then reality kind of set in. And then it was going to school and making friends. Because for the first 3 months, we were in Auckland. So it was like a holiday. And then it became like, okay, this is how it is going to be now. And that's when I started to become homesick. And like, I think we all wanted to go back. It was like, just kind of like trying to face it. But then after a while, I got used to it. And it became more like home. And I would go on holiday to South Africa. And it was enjoyable. But then I realized it's not really where I want to be living anymore. Especially when you realize like how unsafe it is and stuff. You're like, okay, I can appreciate New Zealand for what it is now. Yeah.
And how do you feel about Aussie?
Australia, I love Australia so much. It's so much easier to settle into. And the weather makes me feel like I'm at home as well, which is great. Yeah, I love it. And the nature, the wildlife and stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because in New Zealand, they've only got birds. But yeah, they've got like kangaroos and everything, so you feel more at home.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it that way. True, they don't have the bigger kind of animals there. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
and so Alex, what do you think? What would your plans be for the next year or so? Do you think you'd stay in Australia, or do you want to go to another country?
No, I definitely want to stay in Australia forever. I'm pretty sure. I don't see myself moving anytime soon, and just settling in and finding a job because it's been really difficult with COVID and everything, and hopefully getting to study as soon as possible. But
and would that be nursing, I'm assuming?
Would that be nursing?
No.
She did do an online business course.
Yeah.
Because Harvard was offering some good deals during the COVID time. So
okay.
She has a certificate that says recognized by Harvard University.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. But well done on you for not doing nothing while all of this is happening around us and using that time really productively. Because we don't know when this is going to end. It could be really soon, or it could be a few years. Don't say that out loud. Fingers crossed. I know the vaccination has just reached Australian shores, and it's going to be rolled out soon. But you never know what's going to happen, and you never know what's around the corner. But on the other hand, things like this, a pandemic, also poses opportunities as well. And so, If you keep on doing something that where your heart is as well as where you think is a good spot to be, you might just find something that you would not have otherwise found if it was non-pandemic. So hang in there. I think you've got the right mindset on how to tackle this thing. I want to know from you guys, what is the one thing that's like the best for you about Australia? What do you like, you know, what do you, if there's one thing you could say, the best?
It just feels like home more. It feels more like South Africa. It feels like home away from home. And the beaches are beautiful here. We love the beach.
The scenery is stunning.
Yeah. And also, like, it's just nice to see the Aborigines as well, because this is like their country, and
it's also very diverse as well.
Yeah, it's diverse. That's it.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I love it.
There's a whole cultural mix here. Yeah.
Yes, lots of, you said Serbians, you work in a Serbian aged care house. I mean, how interesting.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of Germans and Serbians and Europeans in South Australia.
And what's the one thing that you miss the most about South Africa, except for friends and family, because that goes without saying?
Obviously that, but just seeing the familiar places and feeling like home. That's what we miss. Just being able to go and just, obviously visit people. Obviously that's family and friends we miss. But other than that,
probably just the fact that it is home.
Yeah, maybe wildlife.
Wildlife.
The wildlife, eh?
Yeah.
We do actually miss maybe going to game reserves. Yeah, that would be something we would miss, yeah. But first and foremost, just friends and family. I mean, the place is a place. I mean, Australia is very beautiful as well. So, yeah.
And our viewers obviously are considering coming to Australia, and they're thinking, should I, shouldn't I? What would you say to them?
Definitely. Yeah. Because, I mean, the health system is brilliant here. The health system is first class. It's even better than New Zealand because you don't have to wait so long for procedures. People are on waiting lists for a long time in New Zealand. And not only that, the schools are very good here.
Yes,
the schools, there's a lot of universities. There's a lot on offer here for people.
Yeah, they help you.
Yeah.
And I would say it's, even though I haven't found a job, but I think it's just because of COVID. But aside from that, it's easier to find a job.
Yeah, honestly.
Especially as a teenager.
She hasn't tried that hard. I mean, there's
other people I know have tried, and they just get jobs.
It's like it's also who you know, with regards to like teenage jobs. But her boyfriend has a job, and he's with us. He came from New Zealand, and he got a job quite quickly at a pizza place. So he's working.
Is he a Kiwi?
He's a Kiwi. Yeah. He's 18.
Cool. So you didn't get citizenship in New Zealand before you came here, because that would have made it easier for you, I guess, to just come into Australia.
That would have made it easier, but my first prize was getting Australian residency, and of course my age, I couldn't wait any longer to get citizenship. It was at that time where I would have had to wait a little bit longer to get citizenship, and then but then it would have been too late for me to apply for the visa. So I decided to go for the 489 visa.
But that's a very good way. I think you were very clever in that, because if you come in as a Kiwi, you can always have residency here, but you can't just get citizenship. And so you went the harder way, the harder route, by choosing to apply for proper permanent residency through the skilled visa, and now you could become a citizen if you like, after 4 years.
I mean, 2 immigrations in 6 years is a bit of a stressful thing. We are hopefully going to reap the rewards one day, and we are already. I mean, we're staying in this beautiful units after just 6 months of being here. We got a nice beautiful unit by the lake. We've got everything because we got all our stuff second hand. I mean, this couch was $40. Everything was so cheap. You can buy second hand furniture.
That's another good thing is you can buy stuff so cheaply.
So cheap.
And they leave stuff on the side of the road for you, like perfectly great furniture.
Free. Good stuff. Really good. And I mean, I'm quite fussy with stuff. So I'm not like just going to grab any old thing,
Exactly. Yeah, no, and that's something we don't see in South Africa, obviously.
No,
as you say,
no.
we call it Virch collection on this side of the island. What do you guys call it over there? Is it also or white goods collection or?
Collection, just collection days. I don't know what, we don't really have a name. I don't know what they call it here in South Australia, but we just used to see it on the side of the road, hey, in New Zealand as well. And we couldn't believe it. And the other thing we can't believe is the honesty boxes. I don't know if you have them in Western Australia, but if people are selling things on the side of the road, they have a little jar and you just put your money in and you grab your whatever fruit or whatever. And they just
you will leave your money there.
No, you're just trusting. It's so
amazing, but that's how life should be. Think about it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Exactly what, we shouldn't be going, wow, that's amazing. It should be like, yeah, that's how it is. It's, it's your money, it's their strawberries. You hand them the money, you take the strawberries. It's but sadly we come from a different background where people take what's not theirs necessarily, and so now we're in this peculiar position where we're like, oh, how amazing is that? It's like,
we can appreciate it so much more because we've been through all that, whereas the people here, I don't think they appreciate where they come from, like you can see it sometimes, the Australians, and that's why they want migrants, because we are hard workers and we appreciate it more, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. We are hard workers. And in a way, I'm actually quite glad that I'm a migrant, because if I hadn't been a migrant, I don't think I would have had the outlook on life that I have at the moment. And that's one of gratitude and of, well, as you say, working hard, not taking things for granted. And it's just changed. It's just changed my perception of life so much.
Yeah, definitely. And we're very grateful as well. I mean, God has seen us through a lot, even coming to New Zealand, and we were just like, wow, we couldn't believe it. The first night in New Zealand, my uncle's house, no burglar guards on the windows. And we just were like, oh, I just didn't feel safe. And it was dead quiet. There were no sirens, no gunshots, because when we were in New Germany, we could hear gunshots at night. And, the local stores were being held up and stuff, but we didn't have any of them. It was a bit unsettling to begin with. It was just so wonderful. And we started to feel this immense gratitude that we were allowed to be there.
Tell me about, you spoke about being Christian. Well, believing. Do you guys go to church in Australia? Have you found, somewhere that you feel home with as your church family?
Yes, we have also found that in New Zealand as well. And here there's so many beautiful churches here.
And so many South Africans at the church.
Yes, so many. Oh my gosh. As soon as I see an African person, I'm like, oh, you're from South Africa. Oh, yay. Up to them, like there's a lot of Zimbabweans as well, and it just makes you feel like you're at home.
Yeah, and Adelaide is the city of churches, so I'm sure you're spoiled for choice there.
Yeah, is it? I didn't know. Okay. Yeah, no, we go to each church. Obviously, I can't go every Sunday because I'm working most of the Sundays, but we try. We do try. Yeah.
That's great. And pre-COVID, when you were still in New Zealand, did you go back to South Africa regularly?
I've never been back, but the girls have been back.
Yeah, I've been back,
and a couple times. The children have been back.
Yeah. Because I would go back to visit my dad, but Mom is working, so she doesn't go back.
Yeah, I would rather save my holidays for when my mom come over. She came over 3 times, and we went to Fiji. We went to the Gold Coast twice. Oh, it was just I wanted to treat her, But we will, as soon as COVID's over, I do plan to go back because I miss my sister and my brothers and my dad.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed COVID will just go past quickly. Like the wind will just blow it away into the never land.
That would be wonderful.
Thanks so much, ladies, for sharing your story with us. It's been absolutely fabulous hearing how you've gone the New Zealand route, and now I won't say back in Australia, feeling like you're back home essentially. And now you can just relax. You don't have to move anywhere again if you don't want to. How good is that? And you know that, you know, as soon as you get your citizenship, Australia has your back. How good is that?
That is wonderful.
So good to know.
We feel very blessed.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoy your lovely time in Adelaide, and go to the beach as much as you can, because it's such a beautiful place.
It is. Thank you very much, Chamonix.
My pleasure. Thanks, you too. Bye.
All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.